Peng Joon here, author of the bestseller Build a Money Machine and creator of Internet Income Intensive. In this free training video series, I'm going to be showing you your proven bestseller. How do you take your life knowledge, your passion, your experience, and package that as a product that is monetizable and marketable on the internet? Now, if that sounds like something you might be interested in, then I urge you to close all the other tabs, close all of the other distractions, because this is going to be a game changer. Here's the thing. When I first started out, things were not always like this for me. Before sharing the stage with all these big names, the top experts, thought leaders in the world, and speaking around the world to thousands of people, I had to figure all this out. When I first created my first product, it was in a niche called World of Warcraft. Now, this is like close to 9 years ago. And I didn't think it would sell very well. I put it up online and I put it for sale for just $7. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? This is my first day of building an online business. I'm going to finally start making some money on the internet. And I remember day one of my online business, I opened up my laptop, I looked at my computer, and my computer looks back at me and nothing happened. And nothing happened for a really long time. But I was really determined because I would look around me and I would see all these people making big money online, selling all of their products. And I would think to myself, what are they doing that I'm not doing? It must be the case that it's possible to make big money online. It's just that they're doing something that I'm not doing. So I was very determined to figure it out. So every day on top of my 9 to 5 job, I would stay back at my workplace, and from about 6 to 2 in the morning, I would work on my online business day in, day out. And I remember 9 months doing this, there was still no results yet. I was getting ready to go to work, 6:30 in the morning. And one of the first things I would do is I would check my email. And back then I was using Microsoft Outlook. And I remember receiving this email, and it was from PayPal. And it said, notification of payment received. And I remember opening it up and I could not believe my eyes. That was my first sale and I was so excited. I was still staying with my mom and I said, Mom, wake up, come take a look at this. She woke up, she's really groggy and I said, Mom, take a look at this. I just made my first sale line. And she was looking at the screen, it's like, do you know what this is? It's 6:30 in the morning. And I said, Mom, I just made my first sale. And she's like, Jun, it's 6:30 in the morning and it took you 9 months to make $7. And even till today, I still make fun of her for that. But looking back in retrospect, that was a life-changing moment, because even though it was not a life-changing amount, it was a life-changing scenario for me, because I knew that if I could make that thing happen once, all I need to do then is to rinse and repeat the same process again and again and again and again and again. And that's exactly what I did. I rinsed and repeated and replicated this strategy. I took what it did and I replicated it across many different niche markets, from Forex to dog training to dating to teeth whitening to yoga. And many people started asking me, Peng Joon, what exactly do you do? And my friends would come over to my place. They'll see that, I'm at home in front of my computer every single day, working in my boxers, and they'll be very curious. And so I started teaching them, and other people started seeing their results, and that's what got this all started. I started to realize that this stuff is really powerful, and that's what got me motivated to pretty much travel the world today, teach tens and thousands of people around the world on how they can take their life experience, package and position it in the marketplace so that they can start generating passive income streams online. Not just do that, but also at the same time change and transform lives through their products. So let's get started. How do you make that happen? Now, many times right up to this point, whenever I tell people that it's possible to have an automated business as long as you're selling products and you have a strategy to do it, many times people have reasons and justifications to why I can do it, but not them. They'll say, Peng Joon, you're probably really good with computers, you're a programmer, designer. Here's the thing, I'm not any of that. Until today, I still don't know a line of code. I'm not good with computers. I struggle with tech all the time. They say that you're probably good at writing. I'm not good at writing. They'll say things like, you're really handsome. I added that myself. But there's always different reasons to why I can do it, but not them. So one of the things I did was a couple of years ago, I was going to the US for 29 days. And I decided to document everything from the angle of, if I were to start all over again, what would I do if I had no list, no contacts, no staff, no team, right? And if I was to start with a brand new account in a niche that I've never dealt or done anything before, what would I do? So I documented the entire trip, which was 29 days, step by step on what I would do to launch and create a passive income stream from a brand new product. So I like to play it to show you what I would do if I was starting all over again.
We're at Yale International Airport and we'll be leaving for LAX right now. So it's my first day here in the US. I just checked in at Hilton, Woodland Hills in LA. I'm going to sign up for a ClickBank account. This ClickBank account, I just signed up for it about a couple of minutes ago. Notice that this ClickBank account is fresh, it's got 0 sales made till date. It's completely new and this will be the account we'll be working on in the next couple of weeks. It's day 3 here in the US. I'm still at Hilton in LA. And as you can see from our account, the US trip ClickBank account, we have made $17.98 till date. It's day 9 and today we'll be checking out of the Hilton. The bill just came, it's 1,004. And so let's have a look at our account and what's going on so far. Things are looking pretty healthy. $600 in sales. So we're technically still losing money because we have to pay for car rental and hotel bills. But let's see if things get better. It's day 11 and I'm here in Santa Monica. So just a quick update before I leave for dinner. Here's how the US trip account is going. Things are starting to take shape and we've done two $200 days. It's about $150 so far. It's day 13 and we just made our first $300 day. Day 16, we're halfway there, look at the sales. Day 17, first $500 day. Day 20, things are on track. We got our first $1,000 day. Things are looking good. Day 22, second $1,000 day. It's day 25 and we just made our third $1,000 day. I'm currently at the Grand Canyons and the view here is just wow. And I'm gonna be here I'm gonna hike it down for the rest of the day. And I wanted to show you guys the sales made today, but unfortunately there is no internet connection here, there's no Wi-Fi either. So let's take a recap and look at what we have done so far. In our first week we spent quite a bit of time in Woodland Hills setting up the system, but now as we approach our last week, I'm going to be spending more time hiking and looking around because the system now is pretty much on autopilot, it's running on its own and it's pretty much hands-off for me from here on. So let's take a look at the result for the following week to come. Day 29, I just got back from the Grand Canyon and this is the end of our case study. I'm leaving back home to Malaysia tomorrow. So let me show you what has happened to our account so far. You'll notice that in the last 3 days we've made about over $3,000 US, which is pretty decent considering that we haven't worked on it in the last 3 days. And that's really how powerful the .com lifestyle and internet marketing really is. Initially, when I did a case study on this, I wanted to show you guys what's it like to have time and money freedom, to To have a system that's set up once and then it continuously makes money for you after it's set up. You saw how this happened initially when there was very little sales at the start, but towards the end, it's consistently making $800 to over $1,000 every day. There you have it. I just got back to Malaysia, and in the last 29 days, you've literally looked over my shoulder and seen day to day on how I progressed over an account. Just one website, I managed to grow that one website into a 5-figure income website, really just working on it 1 to 2 hours a day.
So there you have it. You literally watched over my shoulders for 29 days on what I would do if I was starting all over again. And I hope that that video managed to inspire you on how powerful it can be when you're selling a product that sells like crazy on the internet. Now, one thing I'd like you to notice is this. Notice my choice of words. I'm talking about selling a product and not a service. There's a very big distinction between these two things. Let's face it. For most people, the only way they know how to generate income is by selling a service. And what is a service? A service is something that takes up your time to fulfill. And that's a big problem. Why? Because the one thing that all of us, we all have in common is we only have 24 hours a day. And as long as we are trading our time for money, there'll always be a ceiling, a cap to how much we can earn. Right? Because even if you sold your service for $1,000 an hour, you'll still be far from being a billionaire. So in other words, the only thing that separates and differentiates the ultra wealthy to the middle class is that the ultra wealthy does not always trade their time for money. And when they do, it's going to cost a lot. So that's how you need to position your product and your services. In other words, the base of your business should be developing and selling products. Selling something that does not take up your time whenever you make a sale. Let me give you some examples. So for example, let's take a look at a piano teacher. For most piano teachers, how do they make the most of their income? That would be going to classes, teaching students, teaching one-on-one. Now, rather than selling that service, and what is a service? Service is something that takes up your time. So it means if you're a programmer, designer, coder, if you work for someone else, that's trading your time for money, and essentially you're getting paid for your time. So if you're a piano teacher, I'd like you to think about how can you take what you're already doing in your life and transform that from the angle of a service to a product. Now, how do most piano teachers monetize? It would be from teaching other people one-on-one or in a classroom. So rather than doing that, you as a piano teacher can take your life's knowledge, your passion, and put it in the form of a video. You could have a camera, like a camera in front of me right now, and record your teachings, which you're doing anyway, and sell that as a home study course through videos, through membership sites. If you're a fitness instructor, and how do most fitness instructors monetize their knowledge? It would be teaching people one-on-one and coaching them. Now again, that's a service. Why? Because it takes up your time. But rather than doing that, think about how can you take what you already know and package and position that into an ebook, into a physical book, because those are products. And whenever you make a sale for that, it does not take up your time. So here's my task for you. What I'd like you to think about is, what are you doing in your life right now that you're pretty much just giving your time away? Because that's what most people do. Think about how can you take your life's knowledge, your passion, and package it as a product to sell online rather than selling a service. It's okay to be trading your time for money, but that cannot be the base of your business, right? Selling products is the only way to unlock the ceiling, the cap that's on us, so that we are not trading time for money. So let's get started. How can you create your very first proven bestsellers when it comes to products? Now, the first type of product I'd like to share with you would be this. It would be in the form of an ebook, an electronic book. In fact, that was my first product when I created in that World of Warcraft niche that I sold for just $7, which I eventually increased the price to $37. Why ebooks? Because first of all, it's really simple, really fast to create, very straightforward. All you need to do really is to type it out on a word processing file like Microsoft Word, convert it to PDF, and you're set. Very, very fast, very, very straightforward, right? In fact, when it comes to ebooks, the one thing that people normally ask me is, Ping Jun, isn't that a thing of the past? I thought it's really competitive now. Here's the thing: when it comes to selling ebooks, digital products are the future. In fact, the sale of digital products has exceeded the sale of physical goods 5 years ago, and that gap is only becoming bigger and bigger every year. So if anything at all, digital products is the future. So that's one of the things you want to be doing. You want to be taking your life's purpose, your knowledge, your passion, and put it in the form of a product. It could be in the form of an ebook, right? And that's the first one. Number two would be this. Number two, physical books. Now, for the longest time, information is stored in the form of a physical book. Now, there's the right way and the wrong way to doing it, and I want to share that with you, and I spend a little bit more time here because it's really important. Now, when it comes to books, books are really important to help brand and position you as an expert, to give you that credibility, because it is known that once you're an author, the world just looks at you very, very differently. Now, when it comes to selling books, I'd like you to understand that it's not about the book sales that will help you make a lot of money, but what happens around the book that will make all the difference. When it comes to book sales margins aren't very high, and you're not going to earn a lot. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes authors make is when they're doing a speech, and after the 1 hour speech, they sell books at the end. That's one of the worst ways to monetize. It's not about the book sales, but what happens around it. The consulting, the deals, the media interviews, the television, right? And it's what happens around it that will make you all the money, right? When it establishes you as an expert. So in other words, when it comes to this book sales, it's really easy to start creating your very first physical book. In fact, sites like createspace.com, which is run by Amazon, that's their publishing arm, it allows you and it enables you to create your very book by just pretty much sending them the text. They will do all the formatting, they'll even have the designs done for you, and you can have your very own book published really quickly. And what sites like CreateSpace does is it allows publishing on demand as well. So that means that you can just create and order 5 copies, 10 copies, unlike traditional publishers where you need to order in bulk, over 1,000 copies, right? So you want to be taking this book and pretty much use it as a loss leader, as a glorified name card. Just give it out to people that you meet. Imagine this. Imagine if you are a property agent. Now, what do most property agents do? They go around, give out their name cards, and they position themselves as a property agent. But now, imagine if you had a book that says, top 5 mistakes people make when buying property. And every time this property agent meets a client, you give out this book. And this book, and you tell your client, you tell them, now regardless whether you purchase your property through me or not, I'd like you to know what the top 5 mistakes people make when it comes to investing in property. Now, I'd like you to think about this. The next time his client is even thinking about buying a property, who do you think is the first person that comes to mind? It would be the author, right? Because now he's no longer just a property agent, but he's an author. He's a financial thought leader, and the book enables him and positions him that way. It could be the case if you are an insurance agent. Now, for most people, if you say you sell insurance, most people will try to shy away from you. Why? Because they think that you're going to try to sell them an insurance plan. But in other words, if let's say if you had a book and that book says, top 5 financial moves you need to make when planning for your financial future. And again, every single time, you're still selling insurance, but every single time you meet a client, you tell them, these are the top 5 moves every person needs to make when planning for their financial future. Now, do you see the difference in the angle? instead of being an insurance agent, you are now an author. You are now a financial planner. You're a financial educator. And a book positions you very, very differently. So the question now would be, if creating a book is that great and it's got such a big, huge upside to it, why isn't everyone authors? And the reason for that is really just because of a internal dialogue that happens within someone that tells them whether they think that they're good enough to become an author. Whether you think you can or can't, you're right. Because at the end of the day, being an author is really simple, it's really straightforward. The only thing that stops them would be whether they think they're good enough, right? Whether they're an expert. Now again, I don't want to turn this into a book publishing seminar, but I want to spend a little bit more time here so that you can understand the power of having a physical book and how to market it the right way. The tools are in place, right? Now it's up to you whether you're going to implement and take action. So that's number 2, physical book. Number 3 would be this. Number 3 is, and this is one of my all-time favorites, this would be through membership sites. Now, membership sites is one of the best ways to create a recurring income stream for many years to come. For those of you who watch my previous videos, you'll notice that I've got sales coming in every single day through membership sites. In fact, I've got sites that I've set up close to 9 years ago that is still generating income for me till today, right? And the best ways for membership sites is to create a community. Now, the strategy to create a successful membership site is this. It's never about the content. You need to remember that. Why? Because if it's about the content, someone who pays you that $67 a month, they could come in, copy and paste all of that content and just extract that out and cancel their subscription. The strategy for a successful membership site is about community. It's about what happens within that community, the interaction, the networking with other members of the community. And you need to give them that pain of loss, whereby if they cancel their subscription, they lose something. It could be the data, it could be the networking with people. Now, can you imagine if Facebook, which is really a membership site if you think about it, if Facebook charged $1 per month for you to keep your account with them, and if you didn't pay that $1 a month, you would lose all of your photos and all of your friends on Facebook. How many people do you think would pay that $1 a month? A lot of people, right? Because they wouldn't want that pain of loss. So that's membership sites, a great way to build a passive income stream. Number 4 would be this. Number 4 is through an online course. Now, an online course, what is it? It's really just creating a how to do something course. How to use Microsoft Word, how to use Photoshop, right? And you can create the course. And with today's technology, it's really simple to create online courses without dealing with any code, any programming, any of that HTML or C++ programming mumbo jumbo, right? It's really simple using sites like Kajabi. It's very simple to build an online course and be up and running without any programming or design or coding involved. Finally, number 5 that I'd like to share with you, number 5 would be this. Number 5 would be through a home study course. Now, this is a physical home study course. It could come in the form of PDFs, blueprints, videos, DVDs that's actually shipped to a person. And I've sold home study courses for a long time. And home study course is another great way to sell high-ticket products. Why? Because people love receiving stuff, right? And this is another way which you can package what you know, your life experience, into a high-ticket item. Now, right up to this point, you'll notice that these are just some examples of different products. Now, again, what is a product? Notice that whenever you make a sale for any of these 5 products, it does not take up your time if you have systems in place to automate it, right? For example, a person could come to my website at 3 in the morning when I'm asleep, or at 7 at night when I'm out with my friends and family. They buy the ebook, they take themselves to the download page, and they download the product. throughout the entire process, I never talk to them. They don't send me an email. And maybe 1 in 200 people that buy my product, they might accidentally close the browser and they might send an email to my support team. But that is a very, very small percentage. So notice how all these products, whenever you make a sale, it does not take up your time. And that should be the base of your business. Now, on the other hand, there are services. Now, services can be also a great mix as part of your entire business model. However, I'd like you to take note of this. If you were to sell a service, it needs to be high ticket and it cannot be the base of your business. Why? Because this is the part that you're trading time for money. So in other words, the income that you earn online, 80% at least, the very minimum, should be on passive income where you focus on product-based items, and the remaining 20% can be services. So let's talk about some services that you can add in your business model. So the first one, it would be this. Number one would be through seminars. Seminars is something that I've been doing for the last 4 years. It's a great way to share your passion, your knowledge, and also not just make money with it, but actually change lives. I've done seminars in over 20 countries today and taught over tens and thousands of people. And the reason why I choose to do it is really because it gives me a huge sense of fulfillment. Nothing makes me happier than someone coming up to me saying, Peng Joon, I just made my first sale, or even I just quit my full-time job. And seminars is a great way to monetize what you know. Now, what if you took just 10 people, and you taught 10 people for $500, saving them 9 years on the learning curve, right? Think about, most people tend to undervalue what they know. And seminars is a great way to touch more lives at a deeper, intimate level. Number two, for services would be this. Number two would be consulting. Now again, consulting, this is something that takes up your time. This is where you work with a client one-on-one, give them that personal attention. Now again, consulting, a great way to monetize, but again, it cannot be the base of your business. Number three would be this. Number three is through masterminds. Now, personally, for me, I've spent, in the last 4 years alone, I've spent over $300,000 attending seminars, masterminds, inner circles. And masterminds is a great way to get people together and charge them a fee for being the linchpin, for connecting everyone together, right? So masterminds are usually high-ticket items. For example, Tony Robbins Masterminds, Platinum Partnership, they just raised the price. It's $75,000 per year. And some of my friends ask me, Peng Joon, that sounds crazy. Why would you pay $75,000 a year? And what do you get? And I say, you get 3 times a year to go with Tony on trips. And at the end of the day, why do people pay so much? It's not just the one-on-one time with Tony, but as well as the people that we meet at the mastermind. So that's a mastermind. It's a great way to filter out people who are not serious and who want to learn from you at a much deeper level and connect to other people who are also serious as well. Number 4 would be this. Number 4 would be through certifications. Now, we've done corporate certifications and we've sold certifications. Here's the thing about certifications. People love receiving recognition for what they just did because it gives them that sense of accomplishment. But if you really think about it, certifications, what is it? It's really just a piece of paper. At the end of the day, it's a college degree. It's still created by somebody, a human, right? If you look at all of the best certifications programs out there, it's really just an online course with a piece of paper, right? So what's stopping you from creating your very own certification? Again, it would be just that internal dialogue that you tell yourself whether you think you're good enough to do it or not. Finally, the last one, it would be this. Number 5 would be through speeches, to take what you learn and deliver in a form of a keynote at events. And if you look at all these 5, these are all services. It would take up your time, which is a great mix, but this cannot be the base of your business. This needs to be mixed with your product mix, and this needs to serve as your base of your business. The other 20% can come from this. So that being said, now that you've seen all the different types of products that you could be doing, the question now would be, how much can you charge for it, and what should be the price point, right? And I like to be able to give you that big picture of how your very own business model should look like. So the first level, it would be this. It would be DIY, stands for do it yourself. Now, DIY products, a primary example would be ebooks. How do ebooks work? People buy the ebook, and after that, it's up to them whether they take action. They could buy the book, not even open the file, not take action, and it's really up to them. And that is why for ebooks, the normal price range for ebooks is from $37 to maybe $97 today. That's the most popular price points. It's hard to charge an ebook that's $1,000. In some cases, some marketers have done it before, but it's very, very hard to do so. Why? Because ebooks in nature is DIY. They buy the product, it's up to them to take action. If you want to take it up a notch and start charging people more, you want to start thinking about how can you take your product from being DIY based so that it is now DWY, which means done with you. And people love this, where it's done together with them, where they feel that they can either look over your shoulder or you're holding them by the hand and teaching them every single step of the way. So one of the things that you could do for an ebook to make it more done with you would be to perhaps add a 30-day action plan on what they need to do every single day in order to take action, whether it's in Forex, whether it's in the fitness industry, right? People want to know that their hand is being held, that it's done together with them. And finally, the last level, the third level, to really charge a premium would be done for you, where everything is done for them and they don't have to lift a finger, right? So that's DFY, and this is where you can charge a premium. Why? Because people in general are lazy. And if you're able to help them do every single thing and they don't have to do anything, that's done for you, and this is where you can charge a whole lot more. So let me give you some examples. So let's say you are in the Forex niche, right? And I'll give you examples of how you would sell if it's in these three different levels. Now at the DIY stage, there's a problem over here because this is where it charges and commands the least amount of money, but it's also the most competitive. Everybody is trying to sell an ebook over here. So for example, if you are a Forex trader and you want to monetize through your knowledge, DIY would be through a Forex ebook that sells for $37. A done-with-you product could be in the form of this. So imagine the offer page would go along the lines of, hey, I know you're really excited to get started through the ebook that you just purchased, but one of the things I'd like to share with you is a monthly program where I will be able to show you the same exact trades that I do in Forex on a daily basis. Every single day, you'll be receiving an email or an SMS notification whenever I'm about to make a Forex trade, so that you can look over my shoulder and you're pretty much doing the trades together with me. So everything is done together with you. It's going to be step by step where I'll hold you by the hand and trade Forex together with you. Now this is only going to be for $97 a month because we're going to be doing everything together with you. Done for you would be in the angle of, here's the thing, when it comes down to implementing a Forex strategy, many times people fail to follow through because either they don't have time to go through my products, the book. So one of the things I want to do is I want to be able to make these trades on your behalf. All you need to do is send me your username and password to your trading platform, and I will literally log in and just duplicate the same trades that I'm doing and I will trade them and execute the trades on your behalf. You don't have to lift a finger, you don't have to do anything other than give me your username and password. And for this service, it's only $197 every month, right? So it's a membership site. So this is how you can package and position. I'd like you to think about how can you take what you already know and move it more towards done with you and done for you, because that's how you can start charging more for it. It could be the case of if you're in the fitness industry. So in the fitness industry, one of the things, the first thing, number one, is to take from being service-based to product-based. So your product-based could be an ebook on how to get six-pack abs, right? That could be your product. Done with you could be in the form of, I know you're really eager to get started, and one of the things that stops people from taking it to the next level is the food that they put in their body. It's not just about the workouts. In fact, abs is not made in the gym, it's actually made in the kitchen. So here's the thing, for the next 90 days, one of the things I've done is I've put up a 90-day action plan on what you need to work out and also what sort of food and nutrition you need to put into your body. So I'm pretty much going to be coaching you and training you personally online, where every step of the way is all laid out. You just need to follow the same exact steps for the next 90 days, where I'm going to be training you pretty much one-on-one, and it's all done together with you. Finally, done for you, and probably if you can figure this out, it'll probably make you a billionaire. It would be the case of, you don't have to do anything, you just need to continue eating your cheeseburgers. I'll be on the treadmill on your behalf, and when I do that, you're going to be losing the weight, right? So that's, now again, all you need to do is, again, come from the angle of how can I take what I know and move towards the angle of done with you and done for you, because this is where you're able to charge a premium for it. So now that you've learned all this, let me talk about the three main mental blocks that stops people from even taking the first step. And the first one would be this. The first one would be, Peng Joon, I get that this is great, but why would someone buy my product when there's so much free information out there? And this is a question that I get all the time, right? So whatever niche you're in, I can guarantee you, if you type that keyword in on Google, you'll have millions and millions of search results, free information, teaching people about that topic. So the question now would be, why would someone buy a product when there's so much free information out there? Here's the thing I'd like you to remember. There are two main types of people. The first type, let's call him person A. Person A is someone who wants information for free. This is a person who wants to get a book, but rather than paying for the book, they'll go to the local library, they'll rent the book, and they'll tell the librarian, I would like to have this book. The librarian says, we don't have this book in store. Come back 3 days later. The person returns 3 days later. He reads the book, he returns it. And he managed to get the information for free. Now, first thing to understand is, I'd like you to ask yourself is, do you think this person is happy? Did he get what he wanted? And the answer would be yes, he wanted free information. He was not willing to pay for information, and he got exactly what he wanted. Now then comes along person B. Person B is someone who doesn't mind paying for information. This is someone who wants to have a book. He goes on Amazon, he buys the book, he pays extra for overnight shipping, he wakes up the next day, the book is on his doorstep. And that's the second question I have for you, is do you think person B is happy? Did he get what he wanted? And again, the answer here would be yes. He was willing to pay for information, he was willing to pay a premium for it, and he got exactly what he wanted. So in other words, the takeaway here is this: to understand that not everyone thinks and behaves the same way as you. Many times, for people who are person A, they might say, but I'm not like that. Why would someone pay for information? Because I would never pay for information. The first thing to understand is that there's billions of people on this earth, and a lot of everybody have their own different mindset, their belief systems. So the first thing would be to understand not everyone thinks and behaves the same way as you. And I think that's a pretty fair assumption, right? So in other words, why would someone pay for information? It would to save them that convenience. It would to save them that learning curve, that years of learning curve on the internet, right? Trying to figure things out on their own. If you really think about it, I've been doing seminars and events teaching people how to build an online business for many years. And if you think about it, if someone were to try to learn it for free and they went online and typed in how to make money online, there's about 2 billion search results and they're all free information. But that's the same thing that causes people to fail, and that's because they try a product here and there. They're always looking for the next product, and before they know it, the same person is selling them a different product, and they end up in this endless buying loop of buying products after products after products after products. And that is the same reason that causes them to fail. So in other words, having a lot of free information may not necessarily be a good thing. In fact, it's a double-edged sword, right? So the fact that there's a lot of free information out there doesn't mean that that's a bad thing and that you can't start selling products in that niche. So in other words, why would someone pay for that information? It's because of that one word. It's convenience. Because you're going to save them that 10-year learning curve trying to figure things out on their own. And all of the things that they need is just in one place. And they don't have to go to 7 different websites to do research. You're saving them that time. So that's the first one, right? So I hope that wraps up why would someone buy your product when there's so much free information out there. The second mental block that people will normally have would be this. They say, you know, Peng Joon, but I'm not an expert. Why would someone buy my product when I'm not an expert? So here's the thing. When it comes to being an expert, there's 2 main ways to come from. Number one would be to come from the angle of results. And that's what I've been doing for a really long time. I teach people how to build an online business based on the results that I've generated. So many times people say, you know, Peng Joon, but I haven't had any results in this area, in this niche. And that's where the second angle comes in. And that's the angle of reporter. And being a reporter, what that means is you can go out there and take the industry's best practices, interview the experts, and put it into your product. It doesn't mean that you need to come from just results. You could come from the angle of reporter. Now, I'd like you to think about this. I'd like you to think of, say, the 2 best-selling books of all time in the area of wealth. Now, what 2 books came to mind straight away? Let me talk about these 2 books. Right? One of them that came to my mind when I first thought about it was this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was a book that I read 8 years ago, and I think that it's a great book that everyone should read. This book by Napoleon Hill, when he wrote it, Napoleon Hill was not wealthy. What he did was he interviewed the people in his time, the most successful people in terms of what they thought, their mindset, their beliefs. He put it all together and he called the book Think and Grow Rich. And Think and Grow Rich sold hundreds and millions of copies. And this book made Napoleon very rich. But understand one thing, when he wrote the book, he didn't come from the angle of results. He was not wealthy himself. He interviewed other people. Another great book would be Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Right now again, Robert Kiyosaki, right, I share the stage with him in many parts of the world now, was a great book, changed my life as well. And if you take a look at a book like Think and Grow Rich really put Robert Kiyosaki and his brand out there, right? But again, Think and Grow Rich, what is it? It's from the angle of reporter. What he did was he talked about what he learned from his rich dad as well as his poor dad. So here's the thing, if you have not generated any results yet in your niche, you can be coming from the angle of reporter. Go out there, interview people, do the research, put it all together in one place, and you can sell that as your product. So I hope that sorts out mental block number 2, which is, but I'm not an expert, right? So let's come to the third point. The third point would be, people tell me, Peng Joon, but I don't have anything new to share. Why would someone buy my product when I don't have anything groundbreaking to share, right? I don't have anything industry revolutionizing. Why would someone buy my product? And this is what I say. When it comes to selling your very own bestseller online, it's never about just the content. Sure, content is important, but there's something much bigger than just the content, something much bigger than the pie charts, the numbers, the statistics. Most people get so hung up on the numbers, the content, the statistics. But what they fail to see is that there's something much more important than all of that. When it comes to marketing online, people buy and invest not just based on the content, but because of this one thing, and that is called your story. Now, over the last couple of years, I've shared the stage with a lot of the top thought leaders, experts in the world. And if you've been to an event before where there are multiple speakers, I'd like you to notice one thing. Think about the people who are really at the top of the industry, right? People like Tony Robbins, Brendon Burchard, Les Brown, Robert Kiyosaki, and all these different people. Notice the one thing that they all have in common. The one thing that they all have in common is they have a great story. At the end of the day, if you really take a look at all these great speakers, Tony Robbins, right? He's been in the industry for the last 30 years. Whether you're reading his book, whether you're going to his live event, he will always tell you this same story of how when he was in New York and he was in his apartment and he was broke and he was pretty much cleaning his dishes in his bathtub, right? And if you take a look at Brendon Burchard, he would tell the story of how a life-changing scenario for him was when he had a near-death accident that allowed him to realize that at the end of our lives, we'll ask ourselves 3 questions. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? If you take a look at one of the top motivators in the world, Les Brown, and I did a whole tour with him in India and we visited Taj Mahal together. You take a look at his story, one of the greatest motivators of all time. It's about how he grew up in in poverty, where he was raised in a foster home. And if you take a look at Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, right? At the end of the day, what is Rich Dad, Poor Dad? That is a great story. Last week, I was with Jordan Belfort. We were in Dublin. And Jordan Belfort is where Leonardo DiCaprio played the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street. And Wolf of Wall Street really catapulted Jordan's brand to a whole new level. And at the end of the day, again, what is that? That is a great story. So in other words, I'd like you to remember this, is that facts tell, but stories sell. The only question is whether you believe your story is powerful. I never thought my story was powerful. I was brought up in the farm. I'm not supposed to be doing this, shooting videos, traveling the world. I'm supposed to be with my dad working on a farm right now. Why would my story be powerful? But let me tell you this. Your story is powerful. Why? Because that's the only thing that will separate and differentiate you from the other 5 billion people on this planet. No one else has gone through what you went through, and your story is the only thing that will separate and differentiate you from everyone else in the world. Many times people tell me this. They say, you know, Peng Joon, but I'm just a drop in the ocean. That's not true. You're the entire ocean in that one drop. The only question is whether you believe your story is powerful. You know, some people tell me this, you know, they say, you know, Peng Joon, but I've been working on the same job for the last 25 years. Why is that powerful? Well, that's why it's powerful. Can you imagine if you shared your story and your message, how many people will resonate with that? Someone who's been working on the same job for the last 7 years that says, hey, that's me, and I can see that if I don't change what I'm doing right now, I'm going to end up as the same exact path as this person, right? So I want you to recognize that your story is powerful and to be able to share that with the world, because that's the only thing that will separate and differentiate you from the rest of all the other thousands of products out there. Now that you've understood the top 3 mental blocks that people normally have, as well as having learned the different types of products and services that you could be selling, here's what I'd like you to do. Below this video, you'll see the option to download a mini workbook, and I'd like you to think about what type of product and service resonates with you most. What sort of product do you foresee yourself creating? Why? Because you've heard of the great saying by Zig Ziglar. We don't have to be great to start, but we have to start to be great. So what I'd like you to do is, again, comment below. If you have any questions, let me know. I read each and every comment individually. I'd like to also know what you've learned, how you feel, as well as your biggest takeaway, and what sort of product are you going to start to create immediately. I hope this video has served you. Here's what I'd like you to do. Go ahead and like the video, share with your friends so that they can build their very own proven bestsellers. I'd also love to hear it from you. So if you have any questions, just comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you've learned, how you feel, as well as your biggest takeaway, and what sort of action steps will you be taking right after watching this video. So this is Peng Joon. I look forward to seeing you again in the very next video where I'm going to be sharing with you on how to connect all these dots together. I'll be answering some questions and how to take your business to the whole new level.